Hey everyone, I am Erin from Everywhere on Earth with Erin, and this is my very first video blog, so I'm pretty excited about this. I am going to be referencing my written blog too. Hopefully this is going to look good. This is my first shot at it, so let's hope you guys enjoy. So my first subject is going to be about Frankfurt, Germany. The reason I went to Frankfurt was it was a stopover on my way to somewhere else, which we'll blog about later. So Frankfurt is a really cool place to go to. It's really easy if you have a long layover to just leave the airport and explore Frankfurt for the day, or if you want to stay a little bit longer, by all means, there's enough stuff to see and do, but you can really do a lot in one day. So I get to the airport and I decided to check some of my bags so I didn't have to carry them around, and it's really, really easy to navigate Frankfurt Airport. Even though it's one of the largest airports in the world, it's still super easy to navigate. So I found the train. So the train, you have to go kind of like underneath, down, I guess underneath the airport. And the trains are super easy, like really easy to buy a ticket, easy to find the right one. It literally takes like 10 minutes tops to get to the city center. So it saves a lot of time and hassle. So just so you know, so Frankfurt is in central Germany. It's maybe about a 5-hour drive from Berlin and approximately a 3-hour drive from Munich. So it's kind of smack in the middle. It's a major financial hub. It's the home of the European Central Bank, and you're gonna find a lot of really tall skyscrapers in here, and it contrasts really nicely with all the classical churches and the tons of historic buildings that are there. There's also a lot of parks and gardens. There's a city forest, which I didn't see. And then also like Goethe, I think his name is, pardon my German, he was a really famous writer and he was born there. And there's also a house, his house, that you can visit that they've redone, I guess, to make it look like how it was when he lived there. Because Germany was, forefront in World War II, there was a lot of damage done to a lot of these buildings, and luckily they have been rebuilt to the original. So first of all, I get to Hauptbahnhof station, which is, I'm gonna have some pictures here. So this is what it looks like. It's really pretty. It's like a neoclassical style, and it's kind of like what you would expect a European train station to look like. So no surprises there. If you look on the top, you'll see there's a statue of Atlas. So that's kind of cool. So on the way out of the train station, like anywhere, there was like, some few undesirable people, and I guess you'd call them like sketchy characters, but that's okay. Walked right past them, no problem. So I walked straight down Kaiser Street, which is the main street, and there's a lot of the 18th century buildings that are still standing. A lot of them not destroyed in World War II, which is pretty cool. And there's a lot of shops, and this is actually the red light district too. You couldn't really tell during the day. I saw a few erotic shops, but that's about it. So then I took, the city's very easy to navigate. So I walked a little bit, and then you kind of go to the left off that main street, and there is Main Tower. So this is a massive skyscraper, really popular attraction here in Frankfurt. So it's 56-floor skyscraper. Take the elevator to the top, and then there's an outdoor observation deck, which when it's it was super, super windy up there, but when it's a nice day, like it was a really sunny day, so it's really nice to be able to see, and you can see out through the entire city, like it's a 360 view. And then, so it was kind of cool because then I could kind of get an idea of where everything was. It was a good, like a little map for me to see where I'm gonna go. So then I go further and I enter this area that is called Paulsplatz, which is like Paul's Square. And there's some really cool buildings in there. Apparently this is where, if you're here in the winter, this is where you'll find a lot of the Christmas markets, but there was none. I was there in September, so there was not. Then you've got here St. Paul's Church. So St. Paul's Church is no longer functioning as a church. It basically is just a like they have like events and stuff there. So no like church ceremonies. So what's cool about this place is the National Assembly met here for the first time. And this is what gave birth to the first publicly and freely elected German legislative body. Say that fast a few times. So this is one of those churches here that was destroyed and rebuilt in World War II. It's round and it's really bright and spacious inside, and there's flags on the walls. In front of the church here, that is called the Unity Monument. So it's an obelisk, and it's like a three-sided obelisk, and it represents freedom, knowledge, and unity. So I'm enjoying this. I think it's pretty cool. I'm like, oh, look at these buildings. And then I walk a little bit further and it was like, wow, look at this. Check this out. This is Romerberg. Now this makes you feel like you're in Germany. The buildings are super cool. Apparently they're called, I can't remember what they're called. The type of building that it is. So anyway, so if you look here, this is the Romer, which is what the square is named after, and it's City Hall. So it's a nice like little pink building, and every hour the clock chimes, so that's cool. And then there's a fountain here that's in the front, I guess in front of the Romer, and then in the middle of the square, and it's the goddess of justice, and it's called the Fountain of Justice, and she stands in the middle of the Romerberg and looks after stuff. I don't know what she does. Then there's also here the Old St. Nicholas Church. Now this church was actually not damaged in World War II, which is pretty cool. They had like a little bit of damage, but they've redone it. But it's pretty much like in its original. It's not open. It wasn't open when I was there, so I just had to look at it from outside, which is cool. Then I headed over to this place here. This is Frankfurt Cathedral. So it is a really cool Gothic church, and it has like a big tower, and you can see the tower poking out like, you know, from all the skylines. Like it's really tall. So the church is really huge, but it's really, obviously as a church would be, it's very peaceful. This one also needed a bit of reconstruction after the war. I can't really tell, but looks the same to me, I guess. So at this point, I'm getting hungry. So I go back to Romerberg and I find this little restaurant. It's called Alten Limperg. And there's a place where you can sit outside on the patio, or there's just these barrels set up like this, and you can just get something from the takeout window. So I thought, well, I'm in Frankfurt, so I'm going to try the Frankfurter Würstchen, which is basically like a hot dog type of thing. So it comes like this with the wieners and the bread. So I'm looking at this going, okay, so like, how do I eat this? Do I just like eat the sausages separate? Do I put it in the bun? Do I just break off a piece of the bun? So I'm like, I don't know. So I ate like one of them. I ate like kind of like half of them, and then the rest of the half I shoved in the bun. And I don't know like if any locals are looking at me like, what is this girl doing? Or maybe I was doing it right. Like I have no idea. But either way, it was really good. It's a really nice like boiled pork. I believe like a nice pork sausage. So at this point now, I'm getting like super tired because on my flight, it was technically an overnight flight, but I couldn't get a good sleep because they kept waking us up to feed us, which you would think is a good thing, but it's not when you're trying to sleep. And so anyways, I've got like serious jet lag, and I'm going, oh, okay, like there's all these churches around. Should I go sleep in a church? Like, could I just go have a nap? Like, but I thought, you know, like maybe that's not the coolest thing to do when I'm here in Germany. So I decided I'm just gonna like barrel through. Then I go over to, I find like if you go out of Romerberg, then you get into this area that's by the Main River. It's spelled like M-A-I-N, so it looks like Maine, but it's like Main, that's German. So there's a river, and then there's a pedestrian bridge that goes across that. It's called Eiserner Steg. It's like iron bridge, and you know, Steg is German for bridge. So there's this bridge across and it goes over to this other place called Sachsenhausen, I believe it's called. So I go over there. Now, as I'm going over, you'll see when you go over the bridge, there's all these pretty lovelocks, which is, you know, a cool thing to do on many pedestrian bridges around the world. But this looks really nice. I wanted to find this one restaurant in Sachsenhausen, but the thing was is that I had my internet, but I couldn't really like get it working and I couldn't find it. And honestly, at this point in time, I'm so tired that I just have like no patience for this. So I had to give up looking for this area. But while I was there, I found this thing. This is called Dreikönigskirche, which is a church. Kirche is German for church. So this one looked pretty cool. So I kind of have this thing. I'm not religious, but I have this thing for churches. So I didn't go inside this one. I kind of had a little peek inside. It just was like, yeah, whatever. It was kind of dark in there. But it looks really cool, as you can see from the outside. So now I head back over the pedestrian bridge, back into Romerberg again, because that's kind of where I hung out most of the time. So I'm like, you know what? I want to try Apfelwein. So this is like it's like a German sour apple cider. So I want to try this, but I don't know how strong it's going to be. And I'm like, God, I'm already like a zombie. Am I going to be walking around like, you know, like a zombie, drunk zombie now? But anyways, I sit down at the table. I grab a nice little table in the patio, which is a really cool thing to do. And I have this apple wine. It is pretty sour, but you know what? It didn't seem that strong. So I had a glass. I didn't feel like drunk or anything. But if you look here, that's me with zombie eyes. Because yeah, I'm super tired at this point. So that's okay, you know, you sip it slowly, take in the atmosphere. It was, like I said, it was a beautiful sunny day that day. Then I go over, I walk a little bit further, and there's a place called Hauptwacht Plaza. So this is another area where there's like a lot of street stalls, there's a lot of people set up, guys selling like street meat stuff. I already had my street meat, so I didn't buy this one. Then there is the St. Catherine's Church, so that was pretty cool. Apparently it's the center of church music, and it's like really pretty. It's like pink and it's like a Baroque style. So I just had to look at that quickly. Then I'm pretty close at this point. If I walk down out of one of the streets out of the squares to see this Eschenheimer Tower. So this is really neat. It's a city gate right here that was part of the medieval fortification. So it's technically like one of the oldest standing buildings in Frankfurt. And there's like a little restaurant underneath there you can go to if you want. I didn't do that. So then at this point, I was like, I think I've seen everything, and you know, I'm super tired. So I end up basically just going back to the train station. And again, a really easy way to get back. They give you these little papers so that you know where you're going. So that's pretty cool. I guess they know, you know, tourists appreciate that kind of thing. So that's basically what I did, but I also have a couple more. So I'm going to explain a few more things here. So to get there, like I said, you could get there obviously by plane, by train, by car. I just found it really easy to do like as a layover. So that's what I did. So I don't really have any hotel recommendations because I didn't stay there. Germany uses the euro. Keep in mind, it is pretty expensive there. I did have some cash and then I used credit card. I know people are really back and forth as to what's the easiest way to do it. I find that I never know how much cash I need to carry, and then I don't want to take up too much. So I tend to bring like a little bit of cash to have, and then I use my credit card as much as I can, which I don't know, maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. So anyways, once you get, like I said, once you get into Frankfurt from the train station, from the airport, it's very easy to walk around to all the sites. Like, especially if it's a nice day, you can stroll around, take in the atmosphere. If walking is not your thing, they do have Uber there, or you can take public transport. So I'm just gonna scroll past all this because I already told you about these sites. Also, if you want to check out my written blog, my website is everywhereonearthwitherin.com. So you can go check that out too. And so the blogs are like story blogs and guide blogs, and it has a lot of pictures and stuff. So, you know, you get an idea of what you're looking at. All right, so what I wanted to get to is like what you can eat there. We did talk about the Frankfurter Wurschen, which I recommend doing. Also, there's this thing called green sauce. There is a German name for it, but I'm not going to attempt that. So it's like a cold sauce, and you put it over eggs or boiled potatoes, and it's like a creamy sauce flavored with chopped herbs. It seemed really cool. I would have liked to have had it, but I just didn't have a lot of time. There's also one called Frankfurter Rippchen, and that is cured and slow cooked pork, like pork cutlets, and they serve it with sauerkraut and mashed potatoes. So that make a really nice dinner too. There's also this thing that I was interested in trying, but it's called Handkäse mit Musik, which is like a marinated hand cheese, and it has like a pungent kind of flavor, and you serve it with bread. So restaurants serve all this stuff, but I really was only able to eat like one meal there. When you're there, drink, obviously you want to try Apfelwein. It's super cool. You can drink it on its own, which is what I did, or you can mix it with water or soda to kind of like, you know, to make the taste a little less sour. Each place, a lot of places make their own Apfelwein, so they'll have like a variety of different flavors. So you might not get the same one if you go to a different place. Of course, you're going to want to try beer because you are in Germany. So there's like, you can have German Pilsner, there you can have like a Bavarian style wheat beer. They have this dark malty Bock, which I've never heard of, or the one called Rauchbier, which is a smoke beer. So that sounds really cool. So by all means, find a place and sit down and have a few beers. As for restaurants, again, I only went to this one place called Altenlimburg. The service wasn't fantastic, but it was okay. But you know, it's a great location, and you know, they've got Apfelwein, they've got beer, they've got, you know, those foods, most of those foods that I told you. So you know what, you're in Germany, go sit there and have a look. The restaurant that I was trying to find in Sachsenhausen, God, I'm probably butchering these so bad. It was called Apfelwein Sulzer, and it got a lot of really great reviews. The thing was that it doesn't open till later, and because I was so tired and was just done, I didn't want to stick around until it opened, but apparently it's a really awesome place to go. Then we're going to talk about souvenirs. So I'm a bit of a crazy souvenir person. So I like to buy all these like weird knickknacks. Like my entire place is full of pictures on the walls and knickknacks on shelves. Like, the thing with here in Frankfurt is that I didn't really buy any. I bought a magnet. I have a magnet collection, which maybe I'll show you guys one day. But it was either like I couldn't find what I was looking for, or I found it and it was ridiculously expensive. So I was like, forget it. It's fine. So what I think is neat for you to bring home, a bottle of Apfelwein, right? You can impress your friends and family with a authentic German cider. They also come, you can also buy apple wine jelly or apple wine soap. So that's kind of cool for those non-drinkers out there. There's also this thing called a Bembel. So this is used to serve Apfelwein. So if you don't actually like want to serve it, you could also, it makes like for cool decor around the house. I've heard maybe you could like use it as a flower pot. That might be kind of cool. Then you can also buy the Apfelwein glasses, special glasses you drink it from, and sometimes they have the logos of the winemakers. So that's a neat souvenir. Also, they have, Frankfurt has a local soccer team. They're called Eintracht Frankfurt. So all of the merchandise from them is actually really popular. As you see, it looks pretty cool. And I don't think you'd be able to find a lot of this elsewhere. Like, it's pretty unique to Frankfurt. So that would be a good thing to bring home. And finally, this little thing here, this is called a Rauchermannchen or something like that. So what it is it's usually like a little forester or a miner or some kind of little German guy. And you put a incense stick inside of him and light it, and then the smoke comes out of his mouth, like out of his little pipe. And I wanted one of these so bad, but I couldn't find one. I don't know. I looked at a couple souvenir shops, but I couldn't find any. So that might be like a really neat, you know, conversation piece if you ever have someone over and you want to show them something cool you got from Germany. So anyways, that wraps up. That was my day in Germany. If you guys have any questions that you'd like to know about Germany, that's cool. Just send them in the comments. You can send me a message. If there's any content that you would like to see from me, let me know. I'll do my best. I'm gonna continue to video blog some upcoming ones about Jordan and Egypt. And also I might reblog some of my older trips too for you guys. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.